What's up, gamers? Lighter comes out in a few days and you want to know whether you should pull or not. You want to know if he's actually going to be good for your account, and you want to know, should you be saving your jades or gems or polychromes for Miyabi, however you say her name. I don't. So that's what we're going to be going over in today's video, guys. We're going to be going over 3 different topics here to talk about what's Lighter's real value actually looking like, guys, because I know a lot of people are going to be saving for Miyabi, right? Miyabi, our queen, she's our emanator, she's so good, the sword master. When I think Miyabi's going to be great, don't get me wrong, but I also think that Lighter could be very good for your account as well. So in today's video, guys, we're going to be going over everything with himself, right? This hot, sexy, buff. Oh my god, I had to take the shirt off. It was getting a little hot there. We're gonna go ahead and talk about kind of what he does, right? Maybe a kit breakdown and his pros, cons, and everything in between with just himself, right? Because that's what we should be basing things off of for the most part, right? So first things first, guys, his main shtick is he's a fire character and he's a breaker, right? So obviously he's going to be focused on breaking the enemy, and then he's also going to be dealing fire damage. He's also giving buffs as well. So he's not only going to be giving you res on the enemy, reducing the enemy's resistance to both fire and ice type, he's also going to be giving you a pretty big damage bonus for these fire and ice type allies as well. So you're not only getting damage bonus, you're getting res as well. So that compounds really nicely to do some pretty good amounts of damage with your team, right? So he's kind of like a pseudo support in a way. And how he kind of plays is he's just very bursty, right? So I kind of see him like how I see Collator. I see him as a direct upgrade to Collator. So if I were to compare like Collator and Ambi, right? Collator is going to be very bursty, so that means she's coming out in the field in like very short successions, using 1, 2, 3, and then skill attack, and then popping off the field for your other allies to get in there and do some damage as well. Whereas someone like Ambi, right, is very combo and on the field oriented, so he's going to have less on the field time overall when you're using him as a breaker, which we'll get into that whole debacle in a second here. So less on field time here is another big pro with him. That means he can get on and off the field very, very quickly, and you can start buffing up your allies and stuff like that. So with that out of the way, let me go ahead and hop into what I think a big con for him is going to be, which is the nature of his breaks. He has low breaking, in my opinion, right? His breaking power is honestly pretty low, and I don't know why this is. Like, he doesn't give himself much impact in this kit to really go through and decimate enemy shields like you see someone like a Chingy do, or even you see someone like a Lycon do, right? I think Lycon breaks shields much faster than he does, because his whole break relies off of morale meter. You need the morale meter up before you're actually going and breaking, whereas I think Lycon, he relies more so on energy, right, with breaking. But overall, I think Lycon's easier to break with. And I'm not even saying that his breaking altogether bad, right? I think his breaking is just not on par with what we currently have in the game right now. I think that's, like we mentioned before, he is a very bursty type of guy, right? He's very bursty on the field. Also, the reason why it's like this, I feel like he's a sub DPS as well. And I think being a sub DPS is a big contributor to him actually being low breaking, because if you give him high break and high damage, or a decently high damage, he just becomes too broken overall, right? And that's actually going to be leading us into our first pro right now, guys, which he can be used as a DPS on your team, or even a main DPS, right? He can be used as a main or a sub DPS on your team. None of it really matters too much. Like, obviously you would use him as a sub DPS if you're going to be putting him in his best scenario and his best teams, right? But with that being said, I think he works perfectly fine as a DPS as well, because as I see it, what other fire DPS do we really have in the game, guys? We have Lucy, she's a support. We have Coleta, she's a breaker. He's kind of replacing her in that role. And then we also have Soldier 11 here. So, I mean, overall, what we have, I guess Birdie's as well, she's more of a sub DPS as well, though. So, overall, this gives you another strong option to use when you need a fire weakness being broken, right? Because Soldier 11, sure, she's a standard character, you could get her, but this is a guaranteed way to get a fire-type character to start dealing some big damage. So, this does make him a main DPS on that team. And that's not even mentioning that he can still be ran on a Soldier 76 team, on a mono fire team, guys. He's just really strong in this category here. I think he'll open up a lot of extra opportunities for you, especially when you get to those Shiyu defenses that have those fire weak enemies. Maybe you're struggling to get score there because, oh, I can't keep up with the boss is reacting. And right now in the game, or maybe not this current Shiyu defense, but the previous Shiyu defense, we did have enemies that were just strictly fire weak. Having someone like Mr. Oh my god, Hunky Man himself here come out into the field and give you some support for that, it's absolutely massive, and we love to see that. It's going to help a lot of free-to-play players out because he can play multiple different roles on the team, and that's another strong aspect of him, right? Multi-roles, right? That's what he does. He's a multi-role character, because that leads us into the final pro of his kit right now, guys. Like I said, multi-role. He's not only a breaker, right? So he's doing that shit. He's a support for your team as well, and he's a DPS for your team. He can play all of these roles really, really nicely. Let's talk about the support role, though. This is the main thing I'm talking about here. Support's going to be offering a damage increase for fire and ice type allies, right? So he's giving a massive damage increase there, and then he's also bringing res down for enemies against these same guys as well. So I mean, all across the board, he's giving you pretty good like buffs to work with for the rest of your team. So maybe he's not the best breaker, right? Maybe he's not the best DPS, right? But he's damn sure a pretty good support character, okay? I think he is much better a Lycon than this, and I think honestly, if you didn't have Lycon, you had Ellen Joe, you can slot into that team nicely. So I mean, overall, I do think he offers your account more pros than he does cons. I think low breaking is the only thing that you could be missing out on. So the only issue I can see you running into with him is if you have a team that maybe is not as efficient at breaking as a team overall, maybe you struggle with that, right? But I think overall, he's going to be very good for a multitude of things, because this damage and res not only plays into crit-based teams here, it's also going to be playing into anomaly teams as well. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, but he only plays off of attackers, right? This makes him really good for future-proofing, which we'll talk about later. But the reason why he also plays into anomaly as well is because you can run him on the same faction. So he's fire. He's going to be boosting Bernice's damage as well. So anyone that comes to the game that is a part of the Sons of Caledon or the Sons of Calydon, they are going to be supporting him even more. So if you already have someone like a Bernice on your account and you pick him up, he is going to be helping her out with damage bonuses as well. So I honestly do think that is still a decent option to pick. And honestly, you could still go and pick like a fire or ice DPS outside of that, like a Soldier 11, like I mentioned, fire, mono fire team, and still run him there too. So these are all the pros and cons that I can think of off the top of my head right now for himself that he's good. But now let's go ahead and talk about the banner, which I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this banner is kind of doom. I'm not gonna lie, this banner's not looking too good right now. The reason why I say this banner's not looking too right is because first of all, it offers you Corin, right? Corin, okay, right? It's also going to be offering you Ben Biggerton, bro. I almost put Biggerton there. Obviously, I think Pridewin's opinion here, like the Book of God, it's the Hand of God in my opinion, and I think it's the best tier list that anyone should ever watch, obviously. But if we look here at the tier list, Ben, A rank, down here in the slums, brother, and then we have Corin down here in the fucking slums. So as far, and this is M6 as well, guys. This is rated off M6, and I actually do agree with this listing for Corin and Ben. I think the main problem with Corin being on this particular banner, though, is if you're a new player coming to the game, right, and you're pulling for lighter, or even if you're an early game player pulling for lighter, Corin really doesn't set you up in any type of way, right? He enhances no physical typing at all, right? So he's not giving any physical enhancement, meaning she's not getting the damage buff, she's not getting the res buff. So where do you put Corin in this situation, right? I like it more when we have banners that match up more so with the character itself, because it makes it more free-to-play friendly and more free-to-play viable to pull on that banner, because you know you're probably more than likely going to be getting dupes of those two set characters. Let's go ahead and talk about Ben Biggerton. Ben Biggerton, I don't like too much on his banners because, first of all, he's fire, which, okay, works there, right? Ben really is going to be needing Colada, guys. Colada is like Ben's bread and butter. It enhances her to do some more damage and some more impact and stuff like that by a lot, just because he's on the field. He's like an assist? I don't even know what you'd call it, right? Like, he's in there like wine with steak, right? Like, he is helping her out whenever she goes to throw her hammer down. He comes in, puts his little thing down, boom, hits it, and then does more impact on the enemy, right? Or brings the enemy's daze meter up more, right? So I think Ben and Colada play well together. I don't see the point of running Ben on a team with him. Like, we can go take a look at what Ben does right now to see, like, where's the real benefit here, right? We're passive here. When Ben launches a follow-up attack during his EX special attack, all squad members get 50% shield, lasting for 30 seconds. Guardian in effect, the character's crit rate is increased by 16%. That crit rate's nice, but are you really gonna pick Ben Biggerton on a team here over any of these other supports in the game? Like, I'd probably put Lucy on the team before I put Ben Biggerton on the team. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, Lucy just offers so much more in terms of what she can do right now. Sure, he offers a shield, but I just don't see it. I just don't see the banner having much value. So overall, guys, I think the banner is a pretty big doom in my opinion. Now I want to talk about the last thing, which is future proofing and future value of characters coming to the game. And I want to break my fight-on category down here into two different parts, right? First of all, Miyabi, right? And I think they kind of coincide with this next point, but We're going to talk about Miyabi, the future banners coming to the game, and then also the future DPS and meta overall, right? So let's start off with Miyabi first, guys. We already know Miyabi is an anomaly type character, and I mean, I don't necessarily know what typing she is. The main thing is that she is an anomaly based character, and that's where the current meta is at, right? The current meta is inside this anomaly meta here. And while obviously if she is ice, she will be able to play into him quite nicely here. But with that being said, she's not an attacker and she's not part of the Sons of Collidon. So that means you would have to run a guaranteed Sons of Collidon character, maybe like a Bernice, on a team with her to really make her pop off. I really do think Miyabi is going to be playing a lot more with like the likes of Yanagi. Not to say that I think Bernice could still work with Miyabi, right? I think that could be a great matchup for him, like with him Miyabi. So I think they could technically work on the same team together, as long as you have someone with Sons of Collidon, aka Miss Bernice here, to make him work on an anomaly based team. I think that's really huge. But overall, the meta is definitely shifting towards Miyabi, and I do think overall BSB is going to be the better DPS. I think that this is what we're going to see for the rest of kind of like this whole 1.0 lifespan here. I think the anomaly meta is going to even grow into 2.0 as well. But I do think overall that Miyabi might be the better pickup for your account. But that ultimately means if Miyabi is the main DPS that we think she is going to be, or the main DPS that she could very well be, I think that does give her less inherent value than someone like a Lighter. So that is something to keep in mind. Though I do think that she will probably be one of the top DPS in the game when she actually does come out. Now I want to talk about the future DPS and meta, because as we just mentioned, Anomaly really big in the game right now. Crit based DPS haven't got much love, but I do think with him being able to support attackers, I think it's absolutely massive, and I do think the future DPS does lie in our crit based DPS. I think we're going to see a massive comeback in our crit DPS coming to the game, maybe even another type of DPS coming to the game other than Anomaly, right? I think that, like I said, I think Anomaly will carry on, but I do think Anomaly will start slowing down for a more crit DPS type thing, right? And this is why I think he's future proof, right? Like I said, he is going to be buffing any type of fire or ice type characters, right? So this is a huge plethora of characters that he can be buffing. Let's go ahead and take the list right here, right now, right? So as of right now, we have Ellen, that's our DPS for that, and then we have Soldier here, right? We still haven't gotten a really strong, like, fire type main DPS. We still haven't got, like, I guess Ellen's, like, our main DPS for that, right? But I can foresee in the future us getting more characters, more crit-based characters that will play off of these buffs here, right? And that's saying the crit-based characters. That's not to mention any other additional meta they add into the game, because his buffs are universal, right? Or for the most part, they're going to be universal, right? Because it's damage increase, which is massive, and it's res down. So this would mean if you get a res down buff on an enemy, guys, that's going to be playing in just about any damage type, right? Even if the character for some reason doesn't scale off of damage percentage, like Break Effect, for example, in HUNK, right? It doesn't play off of damage increase, but it does play off of res. So I feel like anything you give to the enemy or any other different damage meta you bring to the game, this res is going to be super strong for him, and he's going to pop off with any fire/ice DPS that get added into the game. I think he's going to be super huge for those two categories there, and I do think that he is going to be better for the future. And I feel like that's been the case with a lot of these DPS that have come out. I feel like Stunner could potentially be one of the best classes in the game. Now, do I think the Stunner class is outclassing something like a support class? I think the most valuable character in the game right now, a great example of this, is Caesar King. I think she is the most valuable character in the game. She's giving buff, she's giving debuff, she helps with stun, and she provides shield as well. She provides all these things, and I think if we can get more characters in the game that are all more encompassing, like Lighter, for example, sub DPS, breaker, and support. He offers three things. I think that'll be super huge for him, and just any future characters coming to the game, because that doesn't only lock him down to one role. So if you wanted to run another stronger stunner on the team, he still offers a sub DPS capability. He still has really decent breaking abilities, and he's going to be offering buffs for your fire and ice type characters. So overall, guys, do I think you should pull for Lighter? Do I think Lighter offers enough value for your account to pull? I do think that he offers more future value than he currently offers right now. His buffs only right now in the game affect really Bernice, I guess Miyabi when she comes out, Soldier 11, Soldier 76 if you know me, and Ellen Joe. Those are the only things that he supports. But realistically, in the grand scheme of things, if you don't have Bernice, Ellen, or Soldier, I just don't think he's the pull for your account right now. I really don't think he's going to benefit your account that much at all. Sure, he does some breaking. Overall, I think his breaking is a little bit better than Collator's breaking, but I don't think his general breaking prowess or his general break is, I don't think it's going to be more than Lycon. I think Lycon will be doing more break than him. I definitely think Chingy does more break damage than him. Where do I think he'll sit on the tier list? Probably tier 0. I think his buffs are really, really nice, and I think he could definitely sit up here. But overall, breaking, I think he sits somewhere in between Colada and Lycon. I just don't think it's all that well in the grand scheme of things with the amount of breaking he's able to do on the enemy. So with that being said, guys, I don't think he's a must pull at all. I think if you want to save for Miyabi, you go save for her, right? If you already have like maybe a Bernice on your account, if you have Yanagi on your account, I think that's the move, right? I don't think that he's a must pull. I do think he'll future-proof your account, or he'll be better in the future. So I think maybe this is a character you could wait for a rerun to come out for, because I do think his buffs are really strong. Or if you plan to pull him right now, I think he could offer a decent amount of breaking. I think he can offer a sub DPS if you didn't have any fire characters already, and you plan on running him with a Lucy. I think he can offer you that fire DPS role. So really just depends on your account, right? Overall, I don't think he's a must pull. I think he is a decent pull. But anyways, guys, tell me what your thoughts are. Are you pulling for lighter? Do you think my takes at Aarocopium? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to know what you think of our sexy hot man. Anyways, guys, see you guys later. That's it for me. Bye, guys. See you later. Bye.